Good evening. So glad to have you here tonight. I'm going to ask our first group to come up on stage, please. We'll get our system going here. Everybody knows what they're doing. I want to say welcome on behalf of the Friendship Quilt Guild. I want to thank you for coming tonight for us to be able to recognize a number of local heroes. This is a project for our Quilt Guild. Today, we appreciate our freedom even more with all that's going on in the world. And we need to express our thanks to those who have helped make it possible. Quilting is alive and well in our area. The Friendship Quilt Guild is made up of 78 members attending a day or a night meeting. Members from Kansas, Oklahoma, and 4 Texas counties come together for our guild. We were organized 35 years ago, and we have grown through the years. We have a passion for quilting, we enjoy learning, and enjoy the fellowship. But an important part is community service. In 2005, we became aware of the Quilt of Valor program, and we adopted this as one of our community service projects. The Quilt of Valor program actually started in 2003 when Catherine Roberts of Seafort, Delaware, wanted to present quilts to her son's military group who were returning from Iraq. She wanted to give them a tangible symbol of the appreciation people had for what they were doing. She had the idea of linking quilters with those to make the tops with those long-arm quilters that would do the quilting. Since that time, it has become a grassroots community effort. The program has been expanded to include all veterans, both returning service members, wounded service members, and really anyone who has been in the military at any time. The Quilt of Valor Foundation today is a national nonprofit group with the mission to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts of valor. As of October the 15th, 359,727 quilts of valors have been presented in the United States through this program. Each quilt has a special Quilt of Valor label, a presentation pillowcase, and the name of the recipient is recorded on a national list through the foundation. Our guild became involved in 2005 when we learned about it. We made quilts for other groups to present. We sent quilts to Walter Reed Hospital, San Antonio Military Hospital, Fort Riley, Kansas, a reserve unit in Lubbock, and other locations. From 2005 until 2013, we made 72 Quilts of Valor and 22 military prayer squares that were sent to Iraq. With the quilts, in 2014, we decided we wanted a special program to present the quilts. And so we joined the foundation and started our yearly presentations. With the quilts tonight, we will have been presented 239 quilts in the last 10 years. These quilts have been made by individuals paying their own expenses, by members with fabrics that have been donated to us, and also supplies have been purchased with funds that we had. We have a number of long-arm quilters that donate their time to do the quilting after the tops are made by our Quilt Guild. So at this time, we're going to begin our presentation. We're going to recognize 15 heroes tonight. These have been nominated by members of our Quilt Guild. Because of the number, we'll have two groups. So as we start, I'm going to give a summary of each of the recipients. They will be presented a quilt, and then they will come back to their chair. We're going to take a quick picture for the newspaper, and then we will go and repeat it with the second group. I know you all want lots of family pictures and things like that, but we will ask that you do that at the conclusion of the program. So, our first recipient tonight is James Bishop. So, Mr. Bishop, I want you to come here and stand in the center of the stage. He is from Canadian, Texas. He joined the United States Army in 1953. He attended basic training and the non-commissioned officer school at Fort Hood, Texas. He was sent to serve as a tank driver with the 73rd Field Artillery Unit. He was discharged from the United States Army in 1955 with the rank of corporal. His quilt was made by the Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Randy Ortega. He was the guinea pig. Our next recipient is Alvin Cowan of Perryton. He joined the United States Army on October the 4th, 1966. He did his basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana, artillery training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and searchlight training at Fort Collins, Colorado. Alvin ran the spotlight during missions and combat while in Vietnam. The enemy's first order of business was to take out the spotlight, making him a high priority target. On August the 23rd, 1968, he stayed with the spotlight, illuminating the area for fighting, landing helicopters, and evacuating the injured while under intense fire, receiving the Army Commendation Medal with the device. Alvin was discharged from the United States Army with the rank of SP4 in 1968. His quilt was made by Annette Howard and was quilted by Randy Ortega. Our next recipient is Kay Nelson of Booker. She joined the United States Army in 1963 at the age of 19 and did her basic training at Fort McClenger, Alabama. She continued training at Fort Gordon, Georgia. She was trained in teletype communication and was sent to Fort Ritchie, Maryland. While there, she worked in a mountain tunnel communicating with other countries under high security. Kay later worked for the National Security Agency at Fort George Meade and held the rank of Top Secret Crypto. She definitely remembers the security of the base on the day President Kennedy was assassinated. She was discharged as a U.S. Army SP 3rd Class in 1965. Her quilt was made by the Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Melba Johnson. Michael Jason Bradford of Canadian enlisted in the United States Coast Guard in 2000. While serving, he was stationed in Ketchikan, Alaska, Honolulu, Hawaii, Port Arthur, Texas, and North Bend, Oregon. Jason spent 13 years doing search and rescue missions at small boat stations. He operated a 47-foot motor lifeboat. He was discharged from the United States Coast Guard in 2013 with a rank of Boatswain Mate First Class. His quilt was made and quilted by Barbara Hawkins. Our next recipient is Richard Barnett of Derazette. He joined the United States Air Force in 1968. He did his basic training at Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio. He was sent for special training for pararescue, jump school, diving, SERE, which is survival training, medical, Arctic missions, technical, rock climbing, and rappelling. He served 4 years in Texas, Northern California, Colorado, Vietnam, and North Dakota. He was discharged from the United States Air Force in 1972 with the rank of E5, Staff Sergeant, with the Air Force Special Warfare. His quilt was made by Elaine Schooley and quilted by Wendy Holmes. Cody Gill of Canadian is currently serving in the United States Army and is not able to be with us tonight. His father, Chris, is going to be accepting his quilt. Cody joined the Army in 2017 and did his basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. He serves as a human resource specialist time in Fort Carson, Colorado. He has been deployed to Europe, including Germany, Poland, and Austria, and the Middle East, Kuwait, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. He's participated in a number of leadership schools and has won a number of very prestigious awards, especially for someone his age. His proudest moments have been watching those under his supervision thrive in the Army and succeed in bettering themselves. Cody currently has the rank of Army Corporal and is continuing to serve. His quilt was made and quilted by Barbara Hawkins. At the age of 18, Andrew Skipper of Booker joined the Kansas National Guard in Liberal, Kansas in August of 2004. He attended basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in 2005. Before deployment to Iraq, Andrew had more training at Fort Shelby, Mississippi and Fort Polk, Louisiana. He served in Iraq from October 2005 to July 2007. During Operation Enduring Freedom, Andrew served in Djibouti, Africa for 6 months, protecting the U.S. drones that were being sent to Afghanistan. His unit protected the naval base in Kenya while the Navy was out on anti-pirate missions. He left the National Guard with the rank of SPE-4 in August of 2012. His quilt was made by the Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Randy Ortega. At this time, we're going to pause and get the picture for the newspaper. You all just sit for your ad. And I want the three of you to come and stand behind me for the picture, please. Okay, if anybody else wants this picture, you're welcome to take it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to ask you all to go down. This group, we want to come down to the come up here. They're going to help you. We want you to go down. Go down. You all sit here where they are.
Smart man.
All right, thank you. Very good. Okay, our next recipient is Robert James Lucas, or Bob, as many people know him. So Bob, if you'll go to the center of the stage. He joined the United States Air Force in 1949 after graduating from Annapolis Naval Academy. At that time, some of the graduates could join the Air Force, and that's what he did. Bob served in special services of the Air Force and was stationed in Alaska, Mississippi, Germany, France, New Jersey, and Ohio. While in the service, he obtained 2 engineering master's degrees and a doctorate at the University of Colorado. After the Air Force, Bob taught at Metropolitan State University in Denver. Bob was discharged from the Air Force in 1970 with the rank of colonel. His quilt was made by Myrna Biggers and quilted by the Quilters Cottage of Stinnett. All right, thank you. You can be seated here and we'll do the next one. Okay. Jeff Lewis of Perryton joined the United States Marines June 6, 1989. He went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for his basic training. He was in the infantry, so trained for going to war at all times. Special schools he attended were Nuclear, Biological, Chemical School, Chemical Warfare School, Helicopter Assault Battalion, Mountain and Cold Weather Warfare. He served on a ship in Saudi Arabia area where they practiced in the desert. Other deployments included Japan, Guantanamo Bay, and Cuba to guard the Haitians. They practiced war constantly, but luckily they never were in a battle. He was discharged in October of 1993 with the rank of United States Marine Corporal. Jeff's quilt was made by Carol Magera and quilted by Randy Ortega. Nathan Elzey of Perryton joined the United States Army in 1989. He took basic training at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and additional training at Fort Lee, Virginia. He was stationed for 3 years in Nuremberg, Germany. During that time, he spent 5 months in Saudi Arabia during Desert Storm and 2 months in Italy. He worked in materials, storage, and handling, which he said is a fancy way of saying he drove a forklift in warehouses. Nathan was discharged in 1994 with the rank of Specialist E4. His quilt was made by the Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Tina Buzzard. Vance Snyder II of Amarillo joined the United States Army in 2008 with duty stations at Fort Knox, Kentucky, Fort Carson, Colorado, Afghanistan, Kuwait, and Fort Hood, Texas. He was a cavalry scout, which is a highly trained soldier responsible for gathering critical information about the enemy and providing reconnaissance support to the unit. They operate in small teams with a variety of equipment to conduct surveillance, locate the enemy, and assess the situation to help the commanders make informed decisions. He left the United States Army in 2013 with the rank of specialist. His quilt was made by Luana Walker and quilted by Peggy Luck. Sin Slimmons of Perryton began his military time with the ROTC at Texas Tech. After graduation in 1964, he began active service with Army training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he served for 2 years. He was an instructor for the Artillery and Missile School for communication systems and equipment. After 2 years, he joined the reserves and was in the Abilene area, where he worked with the Civil Affair Company. This was a group that was prepared to help reestablish a government in a combat area if they were sent in. Sin left the reserves in 1972 with the rank of captain in the United States Army. His quilt was made by Cynthia Shaddles and quilted by Tina Buzzard. Wayne Edward Cummings of Dumas joined the United States Navy and attended basic training in 1966. He served in a number of areas, including Florida, the Mediterranean, Italy, Sicily, the Red Sea, Turkey, Vietnam, Boston, Massachusetts, Guantanamo, Cuba, Charleston, South Carolina, and Norfolk, Virginia. Wayne was an interior communication technician, and because of his top security clearance, he can't tell us much of what he did. He left the service with the rank of Navy Petty Officer, 3rd Class. His quilt was made by Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Wendy Holmes. David Rogers of Perryton began his Air Force career in June 2000 when he attended basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. David served on several bases with a combined 12 and a half years in Montana, 3.5 years in Germany, 1 year in Qatar, 3 years at Shepherd Air Force Base. He had 2 deployments to Iraq and 2 deployments to Kuwait. David served in various combat and staff positions related to law enforcement, security, and force protection. These responsibilities included security of nuclear missions and launch facilities, policy formation of security for NATO forces, and support of the global war on terrorism. He retired from a 20-year career in July of 2020. With the rank of United States Air Force Master Sergeant E7. His quilt was made by the Friendship Quilt Guild and quilted by Tina Buzzard. Lynn Steggy of Groover joined the Kansas Air National Guard in Wichita, Kansas in 1970. He did his basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. He was a member of the 184th Tactical Fighter Training Group. Lynn was a part of the security police at McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita and the Guard unit there. He served 6 years, being discharged in 1976 with the rank of Tech Sergeant in the Air National Guard. His quilt was made by Myrna Biggers and quilted by Randy Ortega. Let's give all of our veterans tonight another round of applause. I'd like to make a few closing remarks, and then we'll take a picture of this group and dismiss. I know you can see these heroes, these are heroes based on the information. It was very difficult to select what to tell about each one. Many of them had more stories, more information, more awards that we could not list tonight. But I encourage you to talk about their service, to record some of these memories of things that they have done for future generations. We thank all of you for your service, and we want you to enjoy your quilts. We want you to use them, and remember that we say thank you for what you have done and are still doing. We would also like to thank Community Worship Center for allowing us to use their church tonight, and especially Jason Van Osdal and Tim Snell, who have helped with the production and the internet streaming that we are doing. We thank each of you for coming tonight. We know the importance of freedom as we see what is happening in our world today. And our veterans have protected us throughout history, and so they are very, very important people. After we dismiss, we invite you to have some refreshments, to visit with each other, and stay around for a little while. I'd like to close with a prayer, and then we will get their picture. We thank you for the opportunity to live in America. We thank our forefathers and all the military who have served to give us freedom. We ask you to watch over this group of heroes, all of the military who are in service now, and those who have come home wounded. We ask guidance for our leaders and leaders of the world with the hope that someday we will have some peace. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, I'd like this group to come over behind this group for a picture, and we need to put this back Okay, let's get all of these other pictures taken here. This is a special time. We want to record it with pictures. Yes. Our Quilt Guild really enjoys doing this. It's very special. Okay? All right, we'll let you all go down then. Thank you for your service. Yours was most interesting. Yes, yes.